So I've had an iPad Pro now for a week and a half, and I absolutely love it. First of all, it's considerably lighter. Even with the OtterBox 360 symmetry case on, the 11-inch 2018 iPad Pro is considerably lighter than my 12.9-inch 2015 iPad Pro. The other thing that I love about it is USB Type-C. Now, there are tons of videos showing you how you can connect external storage, but switching over from Lightning to USB-C in terms of doing that, it's like a world of difference. You pretty much don't have to ask whether or not something's going to work because it most likely will. Thumb drives have shown up in the Files app, and check this out. So I go in here, oops, trying to bring down, ah, okay, hold on a second. Okay, so let's go over here. We'll talk about the AirPods in a second, but I'm going to go down. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. So I bring up the assistive accessibility options here, and I've got assistive touch and voiceover. Now, assistive touch allows me to hook up a mouse to my iPad, and because of this, I am able to, first of all, try and fix this photo business. Come on, there we go. Fix the photo business. I'm able to hook this up to a mouse and utilize it on a desk without having to reach my arm out. Now, a lot of people will say, Windows has had this forever. Well, the thing is, Windows works fine in the desktop orientation, but then when you take the tablet away from its desktop orientation, what kind of experience are you going to have with your fingers, right? So I think that Apple has really done a great job in balancing the two. Is it perfect? No. For instance, a lot of things you would do with a right click on Windows are essentially a left click and hold on the iPad. So it's a learning curve because the right click by default is assigned to the assistive touch actions menu. So it is a learning curve. One of the other things that's really strange is if we go back here for a second and I bring this menu down. So right now I can do a screen recording, but if I go to screen mirroring and I switch it over to my Apple TV, the screen recording automatically stops. There really is no way for me to continue doing a screen recording and a screen mirroring at the same time. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But overall, I absolutely love my iPad Pro 11. I've got two hubs, one with a couple of card readers and an HDMI, and then another with four USB Type 3 ports. The reason I've got two of them is that the first one was made incredibly cheaply, and I genuinely thought it was going to break, so I decided to buy two, each with their own benefits, just in case. So I just love it. Now, you're probably noticing here that you're staring at a collection of AirPods. What I'm planning to do next is grab one of these. My birthday's coming up, and later on down the line, my birthday is coming up, and I've decided to put AirPods Pro on my birthday list. And the beautiful thing about AirPods Pro that I'm really looking forward to is the experience of pairing them and being able to use them, because I have an Apple TV, I've got an iPad Pro, I've got an iPhone, and I've got an Apple Watch. And being able to pair the AirPods to all four of those devices at the exact same time, I mean, that is just awesome. Not needing to worry about the technicalities of, oh, I need to unpair this and unpair and repair that. I've got a set of Bluetooth headphones that can only have a maximum of two devices, but because the AirPods Pro and the regular AirPods, tied to your Apple account, then you don't have to worry. And the reason I went for the Pro as opposed to the regular AirPods was because I honestly felt that they would be a better fit. So we'll just have to see what happens. Plus, everybody's been saying that the sound quality is considerably improved. So I figured, what the heck. So that's basically what I'm um, looking at for my birthday. Now speaking of things that are happening in the future, this iPad is replacing a 5-year-old iMac, which is technically an 8-year-old iMac, okay? So we are now in 2020, and that iMac is a 2013. So it's technically 7 years old. The Fusion drive is starting to go on it because, as you know, mechanical hard drives, they have a finite lifespan and tend to wear out faster than the SSD side of things. And that computer is so incredibly heavy that getting it to repairs just wouldn't be worth it. Plus, AppleCare's expired on it. So, you know, so what I did was I went for the 1 terabyte iPad Pro with the cellular connectivity. Basically, as much as it can, this is going to replace my iMac. But speaking of the iMac, so this is the current design, and I think that it's time for a refresh because this design has been around since 2012. It is still around today. It is the current iMac. And I think, Apple, the rumor mill suggested that Apple was going to go to ARM, utilizing their own in-house architecture for the Mac going forward. And if they do that, I think the iMac would be a perfect device to plop it into and do a total, like I said, a total redesign. And what I'm thinking about for the redesign is this. This, for those of you who cannot see, is the 32-inch Pro Display XDR that was announced alongside the new Mac Pro. Now, here's where I'm going with this. I think that something similar to this, in terms of design, would make one heck of an iMac. It would bring back the more universal adjustability of what people call the iLamp. If you Google iMac G4, you will see that there's a display sitting on top of a dome that's sitting essentially on a rotatable arm, and the Pro Display XDR brings that back with the ability to secure it via magnets. Now, I think that would be really cool because if Apple made an iMac with this same technology, now, to make it affordable, I would say tone down the display a lot. Okay, your average iMac user, I don't think, is necessarily going to want... They're going to want a nice display, but something like a 6K display, I'd say, is overkill for the average user. So, overall design of the XDR with a more consumer-friendly display and price tag, and include the magnetic technology and give it the ability to be set up with different stands. So you could mount it to a wall, or you could put it on a dome just like the old iMacs, or you could put it on feet as opposed to a pedestal. Whatever you want. I think it would be really cool to have that. And also what I think they need, because I was looking at the overall design, if you take a look at the back, which I don't have a picture of here, but if you take a look at the back of the XDR, it's essentially a collection of vents all along the back from edge to edge, with the exception of a section in the middle where the magnet and a couple of ports and the power supply plug are housed. So I'm thinking, take one side of that, put the main hardware in, okay? And on the other side, option up a removable battery. Now, why on earth would you want a battery in a desktop machine? Why would you want a battery in a desktop machine? Well, I'm thinking about areas that are prone to power outages. Rather than necessarily needing a secondary um, PSU that has a battery built in, and you have to go the between the wall outlet and the computer, which I understand why they do it, because the system is designed to prevent any major issues with the computer should there be a power surge as a result of a lightning strike. But I think it would be really nice to have some sort of backup option built into the iMac so that you wouldn't necessarily need to invest the extra money, especially if you're on a tight budget. Um, I just think it would be really cool to have that option. But no. So this is a week and a half with the iPad Pro, and I just love it. And I do think that this year, if we're going to see a new redesign for any computer, I'd love it. I would love for it to be the iMac. I think the iMac is long overdue for a redesign. I'd like to see it go from this to something like this, um, and just be honestly, if Apple goes ahead with a design like the XDR for the new iMac, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to fly off the shelves. The iMac overall is an extremely popular computer, but it's carried the same design for a long time, and yes, it looks good, but it's a little stale. I mean, a lot of people are going to be wondering, is this the new iMac? If they don't change the design, I think if they don't change the design this year, a lot of people are going to wonder, well, is that the new iMac? Because I'll be honest, from year to year over the last several years, I couldn't tell the difference. In order to tell the difference, I'd actually have to go into the get info or about this Mac to find out more about the system. Now, yes, I know that your typical big box retailer has info about it sitting next to the machine, but sometimes that print is really small. So, but what do you guys think? You think the iMac is due for a redesign? Do you think it should look like the XDR? What's your take on it? And also, what do you think of the AirPods and the AirPods Pro? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.